It is the burden faced by every parent who wants to return to work, the daunting cost of paying for childcare. But today, the PM promised to make those services more affordable and accessible for thousands of Aussies if he's re-elected. Here's what the plan could mean for you.
Simple, affordable and accessible for every family.
3 days a week of guaranteed subsidised childcare for every Aussie family earning up to $530,000.
Childcare isn't a luxury, it's an essential service for modern families. And that's why we want to build a universal childcare system.
Anthony Albanese making his pre-election pitch today, a plan to unlock discounted childcare for an extra 70,000 families.
At the moment, there's some children that are really cut out or locked out of the system because of the circumstances of their parents.
Labor's pledge would scrap the activity test used to determine a child's eligibility by measuring the number of hours their parents work, study or volunteer. Currently, both parents need to complete 8 to 16 activity hours a fortnight for their kids to be eligible for 3 days of taxpayer-funded childcare.
Some very, very poor families where parents might not be working can't get access to that subsidy, even though parents on higher incomes can.
Abolishing the activity test is forecast to bring almost 82,000 women back into the workforce and boost the economy by around $4.5 billion a year. But it comes with a hefty price tag, more than $400 million taxpayer dollars over 5 years.
You always have to ask the question, who is going to pay? It has to be sustainable.
This seems to be just a subsidy for rich families because you can already obviously get childcare funding if you work. This will be for those who don't have to.
The PM today also promising to spend $1 billion building or expanding more than 160 early education centres in areas dubbed childcare deserts.
It's been the most stressful 2.5 years of our life. We have a 3-year-old son and we were lucky enough to get a spot for him, but it was about 40 minutes away. And then it was another 18 months until we could get a spot that's local to us in Lismore.
An initiative mums like Caitlin wish had come far sooner.
I don't think we'll see the benefit of these ones, which is disappointing for us because it's been really challenging, but still happy to see it happen.
Well, Georgie Dent from the Parenthood is with us now. Georgie, it's said that something like 6 million Aussies live in what's called a childcare desert. So if that's right, 160 centres, that going to be enough to make much of a dent in it?
Look, $1 billion of federal funding to build either build or expand new early childhood education and care services is the biggest investment we have ever seen of this nature in the country. 160 services will make a really meaningful difference to enough families for this to be a really substantial investment and reform.
Georgie, just how dire is it to get childcare in this country?
So it's estimated that 24% of the country is considered a childcare desert, where there are 3 or more children for every available position in an early learning service. So that is pretty dire. And while there have been improvements designed around, to improve affordability for families, until this announcement, we have not had something tangible on the table to address the fact that far too many communities are going without this essential service. Now, these childcare deserts tend to be congregated in regional rural areas, but they also exist in the outer suburbs in all of the metropolitan areas. Now, when families can't access early education and care, the loss of benefits is really significant to individual children, to families and their own budgets, but also to communities, because when parents can't access suitable care for their children, they're not able to participate in the workforce. They're not able to do the roles that their communities desperately need them to do.
I'm curious about this term activity testing, Georgie. Now, it's being scrapped. The opposition says, why would we give free childcare days to people who aren't working? What do you say to that?
What is really significant about this announcement is that we are recognising that the entitlement to participate in early childhood education and care needs to sit with the individual child, not with parents. The activity test has been described rightly as a punitive measure that locks out as many as 126,000 children, predominantly from lower income households, disadvantaged households, First Nations families, and it locks them out of the life-changing benefits that we know exist for children when they participate in high-quality early education and care. The answer is really we do not turn children away from primary school on the basis of their parents earning too much money or their parents not working enough. And we absolutely should not accept that in the early years. And this is such a welcome paradigm shift.
The opposition is arguing that, though. We saw it in our package. They claim the subsidy will kind of mainly benefit rich people who don't have to work. Do you think there is any truth to that?
I think, unfortunately, that indicates that they have misunderstood the announcement today. So with the activity test, we know that the children who will overwhelmingly benefit from that change are children from low-income households who are currently not able to access subsidised care. The reality is, for families on higher incomes, they tend to be working, so they're meeting that activity test, and their children are already entitled to some form of subsidised early education and care. The announcement around building or expanding 160 new early childhood education and care services, they're going to be in areas where there is no provision right now. And what the Prime Minister said today is very true. The areas where there is no provision of early learning tend to be areas where providers cannot make a big profit. That is really because parents in that area are not able to pay the same fees that wealthier parents can. So both of these changes are well designed to actually benefit children and families on the lower income spectrum, which is absolutely what we need to be investing in.
Georgie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.